everybody, it's me, Kai Mann, and it's time for another Lifestrology class. Now today, well, before we get into what we're going to talk about today, last week we talked about the sign of Aquarius. We also talked about the planets that ruled Aquarius, which is the sign of Saturn and Uranus, as well as the 11th house. Now this week we're talking about the last sign of the zodiac, which is Pisces. We're going to also talk about the planets that rule Pisces, which is Jupiter and Neptune and the 12th house. This is the culmination of everything that we have learned, because Pisces is the sign that has accumulated all the knowledge and all the wealth of intellect and the experiences of all the other signs. So let's get into it. Pisces, their keywords is I believe, and trust that whatever it is that they say they believe, you can trust in it. This sign again is a sign of the two fish going in opposite directions, held together by a cord. And basically what that represents is the spiritual nature and the physical or material nature. Pisces, the birth dates between February 19th and March 20th. The element is water. Their duality is feminine. Their quadruplicity is mutable, and they are ruled by Neptune and Jupiter. The parts of the body that are ruled by Pisces are the feet. Now these people have some sensitive feet. Pisces, they have beautifully shaped, sensitive feet that are unfortunately prone to aches and pains, and ill-fitting shoes are a hazard for Pisces. Now their polarity is Virgo. This sign is known as the dustpan of the zodiac because it accumulates and absorbs the experiences and knowledge of the previous 11 signs. As a result, it contains the wisdom of the ages. Just as the first sign of the zodiac, Aries, represents a new beginning, so the 12th sign, the last sign, Pisces, is the end of the circle of life, the wheel of life. Pisces is the most mature and compassionate because it can be aware of the whole breadth of the universe, because it has taken in all of those experiences, all of that knowledge, all of that information, so it can take in the whole breadth of the universe. Now Pisces is the sign of eternity. It's the sign of reincarnation and spiritual rebirth. Pisces is a link to the spirit world. People born under this sign are usually old souls. It's believed that Pisces have experienced other lives in the past. They are described as half body and half spirit. That goes back to that whole fish being connected by the cord, the material, which would represent the body, and the spirit world, which would of course represent the spirit. Now, they are described as half body and half spirit, being pulled between material existence and spiritual concerns. Pisces have the ability to see deeply into the human psyche. Subtle and intuitive, Pisces are born with the gift of prophecy and may even become involved in the occult. And let me stop here, because most often when people hear the term occult, they think devil, they think evil, they think anything that is not what the word means. Occult means hidden or secret, or hidden or secret. Now they also, even though they may become involved in the occult, which is the secret things, the hidden things, they also have ESP, and spiritualism, because Pisces have a close relationship with astral forces. They feel things before they know them, and rarely are their feelings ever wrong. That's where they get that keyword I believe from. So again, if you hear them say something, and I've said this before in a previous video, my son is a Pisces, and when he says it's time to go, I just start packing up. You know that whole scene with the piano, they start closing stuff up, picking up their stuff and getting ready to go. That's me. I don't need to know what you're thinking or what. When he says it's time to go, it's time to go. And I'm right there on his heels. Now, Pisces are highly influenced by their surroundings and by the people who touch their lives. And it's not just because they are influenced by them. They can feel the environment or the vibrations of the people that are around them. And they can feel the vibrations of the universe. You know, when they're really in tune into who it is that they are, they really can tune into those particular types of energy. Now, Pisces possess superb intuition and a seemingly bottomless understanding of other people. Pisces can blend compassion and understanding with great energy and passion. They exert a unique power on people whose lives touch theirs. Pisces are usually guides, teachers, and role models to many. We don't normally say that Pisces are leaders, but they are usually people that guide other people. They teach other people, and they can be role models to many. They love to laugh. Pisces would rather work for the betterment of others, even in the most difficult conditions, and that is so true. They have a way of looking at things in what we would consider to be fantasy, but I think what Pisces, that veil between the spirit world and the material world is so thin that they can see things that we can't see. And that's a benefit to that. And there's also, of course, the reverse, which, you know, can happen as well. Now, because Pisces has the, let me go back. They love to laugh. Pisces would rather work for the betterment of others, even in the most difficult conditions. They don't need a reward for anything that they do. Their reward is in knowing that they have contributed to the soul of the world. So their concern is the soul of the world. They are often tired because of their natural tendency to absorb the feelings and thoughts of others. This sign often needs to withdraw from the fast-moving pace of life to restore itself. Now, if you know a Pisces, again, I have a son that's a Pisces. So when he says, you know, we are planning to go do something together, and he'll say, you know what, I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm going to catch you. You know, I just need some time to myself. I say, okay. You know, I don't take it personal. I just rearrange my day and go and do whatever it is that I'm supposed to be doing, or that I want to do, or whatever the case may be. It just frees me up for something else. But you cannot. When a Pisces is done, they're done. And that's because they have absorbed all of the energy that they have taken it and they've absorbed everybody's stuff. So when they are tired, they literally just need to sit still, take care of themselves, and just relax. And sometimes that can be a day, sometimes it could be a couple days, sometimes it could be a long time. It just depends on what they have been experiencing prior to that need to actually sit down and rest and regenerate, you know, their energies. Now, they are often tired because of their natural tendency to absorb the feelings and thoughts of others. This sign often needs to withdraw from the fast pace of life to restore itself. The wall between the material world and the spirit world is porous for a Pisces. It lives in the material world but often slips into the world of the spirit. Pisces is the sign of dreams, mysticism. They trust their intuition and feelings and tend to seek more spiritual values in life than anything. Pisces, there's so much more that I could really say about this sign, but they are highly intuitive. They are highly sensitive. Now, most often when we hear the term sensitive, we think weakness. And that's not what being sensitive means. It doesn't mean to be weak. That means that we're able to sense what's going on around us. We're able to use those five senses that the Creator gave us to use. You know, most of us don't want to use it because we've been told, mostly men, that using the word sensitive or being sensitive makes them weak. It's a weakness, and that's not true. The more that you learn to use your senses, you can feel when stuff ain't for the right thing, and you can book up if you need to, or you can stay if you need to. So trust and believe that your feelings are the things that you really should get more into. Male, female, masculine energy, feminine energy, however it is that you define who it is that you are, you really need to get in touch with your feelings, okay? So that's Pisces. Now we're going to talk about the planets that rule Pisces, which is Neptune and Jupiter. I'm going to talk about Jupiter first. And we've talked about Jupiter for the sign of Sagittarius because it rules Sagittarius as well. Now, Jupiter is the king of the gods. The energy that it has is the energy of generosity. And if you know Pisces, they are sweet, kind, gentle people. I mean, you don't get me wrong. Now, everybody has that side where if we need to pull out the shadow side or pull out that other side of us, we can do that. But for the most part, they are very generous people. Jupiter represents how we expand. Again, it rules Sagittarius and Pisces. The parts of the body ruled is the liver and the pituitary gland. Jupiter, the planet of expansion, where the sky is the limit. Jupiter makes everything expansive. So no matter what experience that you're having, it's going to be larger than life. So if it's a positive experience or a negative experience, it's going to be larger than life when Jupiter is in play. Jupiter is the largest planet, so that's why it's larger than life. Is the Lord of light, the emperor, the judge and teacher of all that is. Jupiter has always been identified with the idea of expansiveness and abundance. Jupiter brings joy to life. It rules over knowledge, higher learning, the breadth of vision, and honesty. The knowledge that Jupiter imparts is on a philosophical level as opposed to the day-to-day cleverness that Mercury offers. Knowledge and positive thinking are the supplies in Jupiter's backpack. In astrology, the planet Jupiter is known as the Great Fortune. It always brings fortune. Venus is, where am I? Oh, Venus is the lesser fortune and Jupiter is the greater fortune. Now, the position of Jupiter in your birth chart can indicate where your fortune opportunities are to be found. This benevolent planet shows where you have the most room to expand in the areas of life. Now, I'm not going to go through a whole bunch about Jupiter. Now, if you want to get more information about Jupiter, I'm going to actually do videos on each one of the planets, just like I'm going to do on each one of the signs, because I'm going to tell you some things for the signs of things that we need to be careful for and how to use those particular areas that we think there are underdeveloped strengths and how to make them stronger strengths. So, but let's talk about Neptune. Neptune is the god of the sea. Excuse me. The energy that it brings is the energy of mystery. It's how we inspire. Now, it rules Pisces, and the parts of the body that it rules is the nervous system. Now, and that seems so apropos to me, because mystery, sometimes mystery can be kind of scary. Sometimes it can be, elusive, and it kind of, work your nerves. So of course the body, the parts of the body that it rules would be the nervous system. Now, Neptune is a planet of mystery and illusion. Its power is that of imagination. This is why Pisces tend to have such an active, what we would call active imagination. And a lot of times we think that it's all about their imagination, when again, remember we talked about the veil between the material world and the spirit world being very porous, so they can actually see through those things. So again, its power is of the imagination. Neptune represents your dream life and your mystic qualities. Neptune transcends time and space, guiding us into the realm of spirituality, imagination, creativity, idealism, compassion, mysticism, and dreams, as well as escapism, addiction, invisibility, deceit, and illusion. Now, of course, we always know that there's always duality in everything. When I read this or learned more about Neptune and this whole escapism, the addiction, and all those different things, those things, when you think about it, if there was a veil that was very thin and you could see between the world that you're in, the physical world, as well as the spiritual world, some people can't handle that. So they want to escape from it. And if they try to escape from it, of course, they may get into addiction, all other kind of things as well. So it's about, even though, you have the opportunity to be able to see through things that we normally wouldn't see through, that Pisces can, you have to be a strong individual. So it depends on the other things that are lying in your chart and where they are lined up in those particular houses, that gives you either the strength, or maybe you have some difficulty and you might be prone to escapism and addiction because of it. Now, Neptune transcends barriers, just as music transcends culture and language, carrying us to that place beyond the material world of form and structure, to the world of the unconscious, where we experience visions and divine. So you know when you're sleeping and in your dreams, that is your unconscious mind, right? Neptune also rules the seas of our subconscious selves. Neptune is the ruler of the oceans, drawing us toward the captivating images of our inner realm. Such visions can inspire our spirits to ideals and dreams, to great kindness, that kindness that Pisces has because of because of Neptune, and sacrifice for the greater good. Neptune can also inspire us to produce art, music, literature, and to other forms of creativity. Now, Pisces are normally like musicians. If you know any Pisces, they are, many of them are musicians. My son is I would say a musician, but he's a musician, rapper, whatever. Now, Neptune can also inspire us to produce art, music, and literature. He also writes, some of our great poets are Pisces as well. That's because they deal in with their senses. They deal in that particular realm of with Neptune. Now let's see here. Neptune also inspires us to produce art, music, and literature, and to other forms of creativity. Neptune exerts a strong influence on our lives. Anyone who has an artistic vision or is drawn to spiritual matters, or has experienced an unusual, unexplained event has felt the power of Neptune. So depending upon where Neptune is in your chart, you may have some strong spiritual type events that happen in your life. I can tell you one for me. I have Neptune in my first house, and it is in the sign of Scorpio. Now, Neptune also is, and we'll talk about this a little bit down here, is a generational planet. So for 14 years it sits in a particular sign. So not only am I myself, have Neptune in the sign of Scorpio, people of my generation have Neptune in the sign of Scorpio as well, and it kind of delves into how we think and how we believe. But depending upon which house it's sitting in our chart will determine how it affects us and how that effect has on the world. Now, again, where am I? Strong influence on our lives. Anyone who has an artistic vision or is drawn to spiritual matters or has experienced an unusual and unexplained event has felt the power of Neptune. And what I wanted to say about that is that I have dreams. Very vivid dreams. So how Neptune affects me in that particular area, like I have very vivid dreams. When I was little, I used to be able to see things, people who were no longer here. And so, and then family members who had passed on or whatever. Now, and I was never afraid of those particular type things. So depending upon where it is that you have Neptune in your chart, it kind of will depend on how that affects you in the world and how you affect the world with that in your chart. Neptune rules over a wide domain of human activity, from motion pictures, drama, dance, and poetry to hypnosis and anesthesia, hospitals, institutions, and prisons, poison, and drug addiction. That goes back to up here when we were talking about that it also rules the realms of escapism and addiction as well. So Neptune's influence brings great depth of understanding, ESP ability, and creative genius. Unlike the power of Uranus, which is sudden and forceful, Neptune's power is subtle, it's ethereal, and it's inspirational, and it's otherworldly. Neptune brings a person into contact with a higher plane of consciousness. When this planet is prominent in an individual chart, that person is likely to become involved in mysticism, psychic phenomena, or dreams of interpretation. Now again, when we think about Neptune as being the god of the sea, that means depth. things that are deep, things that are hidden, things that are out of sight, things that are secretive, things that you have to really dig deep for in order to get, to obtain. Neptune, again, it's the 14-year transit between, Neptune's 14-year transit through a particular sign determines the fashion, assumptions, and beliefs of that generation. So you might see a particular area of people like they all dress alike, and it's because of Neptune. You have certain generations of people that believe the same things, and that's because of where Neptune was in that particular generation, the planet that it was transiting through. Taking account of these changes can be invaluable and aid all kinds of social planning. So when we know, this is why it's so important, and some people who really don't want to get into astrology, I don't want to say, oh God, that's crazy or whatever, but you can always use astrology to help plan like social planning, inventions and things of that nature, because of the generations that are happening at that time. So it's very important that we not only know our individual chart, but we know what's going on astrologically with the universe. Okay, so taking account of these changes can be invaluable, aid in all kinds of social planning. Because Neptune has a generational influence, you share Neptune's characteristics with the people of your era. Now, the sign that Neptune is in determines how you and your generation will make history. So everybody in my generation that has Neptune in Scorpio, we generationally, we will influence the world in a particular way based upon what's sitting in our houses. That's how we will affect that change. But we mostly have all the same type of characteristics because we were born in a certain era. In its highest form, Neptune symbolizes perfection. It represents your unselfish ideals, your spiritual quest, and your search for the impossible dream. Neptune is another planet that I really love, only because of its depth. If you've noticed, things that I really tend to go into are the occult things, those things that are hidden, those things that really make you dive deep to actually get those pearls, those jewels from it. So next we're going to talk about the 12th house. The 12th house is the house of the private or inner life. That makes sense because we're dealing with Neptune, which is deep, that you have to go within. And with the 12th house, you have to go within. Now, the 12th house, the natural sign of the 12th house, of course, is Pisces. It's ruled by both Neptune and Jupiter. The 12th house symbolizes the places we go to heal ourselves, to transcend, the gateway into higher consciousness. The 12th house is the house of secrets, the house of sorrows, and self-undoing. Now, naturally when we hear that, we think, oh God, I don't want to deal with the 12th house. But Pisces itself is a sign of undoing as well, self-undoing. And you have to think about this. When we talk about self-undoing, there's duality. There is a good thing about that, and then there is what we would consider to be a negative part about that. Sometimes this is where we self-sabotage ourselves within this house. It gives you insight into what you might be self-sabotaging yourself, but then it also helps you to know what you might be unraveling, what you might be undoing also in your life. You doing that self-undoing so that you can get to that higher level of consciousness and transcend. Now, again, this is a house of secrets, sorrows, and self-undoing. It is the most mystical of all the houses. It's the final house. Just like the 12th, Pisces is the 12th sign. It's the last sign. This is not necessarily a negative and gloomy place, but it does define the limitations placed on your life, including by yourself through your own self-undoing behaviors. The 12th house is a spiritual house, a place where we understand that we are all one. We realize that we all come from the same source, and we will all return to the same source. So those people that you're talking about, judging, all that, they came from the same place you came from, and guess what? They're going back to the same place you are going. So we're all the same. We come from the same thing, and we're going back to the same thing. So that we come from the same source, and we will return to the same source, so that we do for one of us. So whatever it is that we do for ourselves, we do for other people, or we do for all of us. Everything is interconnected. Places of solitude and confinement reside in the 12th house, such as retreats, reclusive religious orders, hospitals and prisons, places that provide time for long periods of contemplation. In this house, we go behind the scenes, sometimes voluntarily, at other times to pay a debt to society, so that we can delve into the unconscious and search the unseen world for wholeness of life. Now we examine our weaknesses, our skeletons, and all our Achilles heels, as well as our strengths. So that 12th house represents, again, that private inner life. A lot of things that people may not know about us. This is the house where we actually sit down and we pick those things apart, and we figure out what we need to learn, what we need to do in order to, what we need to let go of in order to move to the next level, the next gateway in life. So, where was I? Now, in this house we go behind the scenes, sometimes voluntarily, at other times to pay a debt to society, so that we can delve into the unconscious and search the unseen world for the wholeness of life. We examine our weaknesses, our skeletons, and our Achilles heels, as well as our strengths. The 12th house represents experiences that require inner privacy. The house points toward feelings, knowledge, and activities that we are more comfortable handling alone. These are things we don't really want too many people involved. We don't want them to know about it. You know, we kind of keep those things to ourselves. But this is the house where if we really let go of that particular energy and begin to share our stories with other people, that is really where the power lies. It's really where the power lies. So again, this house points toward feelings, knowledge, and activities that we are more comfortable handling alone, or which, for better or worse, we don't want others to know about. At worst, the 12th house can show us the extent to which we are at risk of self-undoing, the many ways, including unlawful ones. So that, you know, again, it rules over prisons as well. So, in which we may act against our own interests. The 12th house has been called the house of karma, the house of spiritual debt, for it contains the rewards and the punishments for the deeds one commits in this world. It is associated with psychic power and the ability to discover at the meaning of life. Here we yearn to touch the divine. And so many times when we think of the word divine, we don't think of ourselves as divine. You are divine. You are divine. And so when you begin to unravel all those things, undo all those behaviors, and begin to look at yourself in a way that will allow you to tap into your own divinity, this is the house where you would do that. Now, here we yearn to touch the divine. We have completed the journey through the 11 houses, and now we begin to understand what the dance around the ring is all about. If we have a strong focus on the 12th house in our chart, the most difficult thing for us to accept is also the single most generous thing that we can do to help ourselves is allowing others into our inner world. Just like I just said, you know, we need to allow people in that way, in our inner world. That's really truly where our power lies. Here in the 12th house, we cleanse and purify ourselves in preparation for our next turn around the wheel of life, because we know that the next step is rebirth. So once you get here to the 12th house, it's all about rebirth. So once we go through whatever phase that we're going through, because there's 12 phases, once we go through that 12th phase, and we do that rebirth, and we start all over again. So anyway, I thank you guys so much for watching. This has been amazing to actually do these signs and the houses as well as the planets, and to share the knowledge that I have ascertained with you guys. It really has been beautiful. For 12 weeks now we have been going through each one of them. I will still weekly do a video. I have different topics that I'm going to talk about with regards to the signs, the planets, and the houses, and then we'll also try and get into some of the aspects, and we'll talk about the chart as well, so that you can understand how your chart affects your life and learn more about yourself, so that you can be self-aware and that you can be walking in your highest self at all times, because you know exactly who you are. Okay, you know where the minefields are, so that you can step over them if need be, or you can dismantle it if you need. So this is why we are doing this. Again, thank you so much for watching these videos. I appreciate you. Be sure to like, share, comment on these videos. If you're watching them on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And be sure to share this information across any of the social media channels as well. I thank you guys so much. Peace out. Deuces.
I want you to show me how to get to know someone like you, someone like you.